All right, another trade review here. So I figured I'd use a different broker or charting platform here for you guys to see a different angle. Maybe I catch some different eyes. Who knows? Anyways, Walmart was our most recent winner out of Pit Power Plays. So Pit Power Plays has over a 90% win rate right now. We just took our first loser as well, which I did another video on if you want to go watch that. Actually, we're not taking that loser until tomorrow, so there's still room for a miracle, but it does expire tomorrow and it'll likely expire worthless. That being said, that came after a 23 win streak or 22 position win streak, so not too mad about it. But this is our most recent winner today, Walmart. We entered this Monday on a pullback, so for Pit Power Plays, you'll see Walmart ripped up pretty high. We entered on this pullback on the 7th. Does that sound right? No, it wouldn't have been the 7th. It would have been the 11th on this much bigger pullback. Maybe it was a week back. Oh, yeah, it was a whole week ago. So it was a Monday a whole week ago. So it was actually on the 4th. That makes sense. Okay, sorry. So on the 4th, we entered after it had hit, was that recent? It almost hit all-time highs again. Pulled back to the 8 or 9 EMA, whatever. Actually, I got the 5 EMA on here, the 5 and the 10. So pulled back to the 5 and the 10 EMA there, and that is where we entered. Got in when it was about 130-ish, I think, and we gave ourselves till June just to make sure. We had plenty of time on this baby. That being said, I didn't want to hold it more than 2 or 3 weeks. So lucky us, we got a nice pop today. Calls are up 40%, taking profits there. Easy win here. Now, a quick part to review here that's kind of important, and that is when this big red candle came in and it broke below the EMAs, one of our newest members got a little concerned and was like, hey, you gonna tell us to stop out? What's going on here? And my short answer was no. My long answer as to why is you have to know your ATRs. You have to know that, okay, that's probably a little bit bigger than your typical average range for Walmart, but it moved from the open to close. It moved a little over $2. Looks like, just based on looks alone, it looks like the ATR for Walmart is around $2. So what that tells me is that all that was happening is a typical move of positioning, not a real move of a change of thesis or a change of story. So if the story, if the overall market, if Walmart's thesis changed, that would be different, and that's where I would stop out or cut my losses there. That being said, when that big red candle came in, these calls went down 50%. So if I just had a natural, no logic, just based off numbers, if I'm down 50%, I take a stop loss, I would have stopped out of these, and I would have had a loss 4 days ago. Instead, I got a 40% gain today because I knew better. And that's because there was no real change of thesis. It just seemed more like a tech pump was coming in so strong at the beginning of this week that nobody was thinking about these more reliable consumer-based, Walmarts, Dollar Trees, and all that typical shit. So, held it. Glad we did. Exited with a 40% return. Hope this can serve as a lesson that, you got to know your true range here. You got to know how much a stock moves when nothing is happening. And then you got to have your own sense and logic, but it sure does help to have somebody who maybe knows more or smarter than you. I don't want to say I'm smarter than you, but I probably have more experience than you if you're in my rooms. Maybe not. If not, hopefully you're contributing. But it helps to have somebody else's perspective. I think that's the way I should put it. Somebody else's perspective definitely can help you in these situations when you're getting emotional, when it seems like a lot of money. But what helps more than anything, you don't even need another perspective if you had a solid plan. So for me personally, my plan on Pit Power Plays is these are super reliable plays with a lot of time till expiration. So I'm going to hold most of them until they're profitable. Now, most are profitable within a week or two, and we get a pretty good return and we exit. Occasionally, you'll have ones that fall red for a while, and then, like I said, we just took our first loss on RRC, but that came after 20 straight wins, or more than 20 straight wins, so I wasn't too concerned with that. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to cut these because we're afraid of losing some money. We don't want to cut these because we're scared, or all these emotions that come in, or we're worried about losing money. What's going to happen? It's going to be like last time when I lost all my money gambling on options. That's not what this is. This is pure logic. Makes perfect sense. If you just follow the logic and leave emotions out of it, you'll be good. If you get emotional and full of fear and worry, you'll be bad. Another thing that's important here, had another member, hopefully I'm not putting anybody on blast, but not using names, so I guess not. Had somebody else who was very concerned. So they were with us for the 20 wins or whatever. They've been winning and winning and winning. And as they're winning, of course, their account's growing. As their account's growing, I dropped some bonus plays too. Most of our bonus plays win as well, but I'm not tracking those as detailed. I don't really announce my exits all the time on those. They're just kind of extra thoughts. And if you have the guts and the knowledge, I guess it would be, or experience to play those on your own, be my guest. If not, that's okay too. But I dropped some bonus plays after, dropping so many 20 straight wins, a bunch of winners, dropped a bonus play that went in the red. I don't even know if it ended up being a loser. I think it might have. I don't know. Went in the red, and one of our members had gotten real deep into this play. So they had seen so many winners, they got overconfident, and they used about 3 times the amount of funds that they normally use for plays, and then lost that. So that should serve as a huge lesson for everybody, in that one of the most important things with any strategy is that you test it with some consistency. So for pit power plays, for example, I use the same amount of money for each play no matter what. So I'll use a smaller amount than what I use just to try to be more relatable. Let's just say I use $500. Let's pretend like that's the amount. And for Walmart, the call cost $500 that we entered. We exited for like $800 dang near. So nice little return, but that would have been a 1 contract play. Now, for a few plays before that, I think we got some Merc calls a couple weeks ago. When that play hit, I think the calls were only $2. So you could get 2 of those. Or if you were way up on the year, maybe you get 3 of them. But still around, 400 to 600, right in that range. 500, you're in the same range, same amount of money. But this way, you should have a nice profit factor by now. So after a bunch of wins, let's just say you've been doing 500 every time. We had a couple 100% winners, a couple 50% winners. Your account, let's just say you started with 500, you did 500 every time. Your account should be like 2,000-ish. And if that's the case, then all of a sudden you see a play and you drop 1,000 in it instead of the 500 you're used to, and that ends up being the loser. Now you're down 50%, and not only that, what's worse than that, so you'd still be up on the year. Up 2,000, down 1,000, you're still up 500 from your initial 500 position. What's worse than that, though, is it's in your head now. And now you're going, oh, can I trust these plays? What am I doing wrong? It's probably my luck. Whenever I get in, it goes wrong. Oh, it's my luck. It's definitely luck. It's the world's against me. I'm stupid. I've heard it all. It's just everybody takes it so personally. And it's like, if I lose on one of these plays, so I'm going to lose $2,500 on the play that just became a loser. But I've made probably like $20,000 out of all the winners that we've built up over the year. So I'm not that worried about it, but I've used the same amount of cash in every single play. If I would have gone balls deep in the one that lost, I'd be devastated too. I know not to do that, and hopefully this serves as a lesson for everybody else not to do that. But also just know that, like, when you have a strategy, you have to be consistent with it, or it's just not going to make sense. You're like, oh, everybody else is winning and doing great, but I'm losing. Why is that? Maybe because, and I'll tell you, it's because you're not being consistent. That's why. Because if you were consistent, the profit factor would be there. We track these religiously. We have a tracking sheet with every single one of these plays on here. So we know that if you're consistent, you will win. And if you are inconsistent, if you gamble, if you YOLO into it, if you get overconfident, so you double your position size randomly, not necessarily going to be a loser, but it's going to be a lot harder for you to stay consistent and to see the same results everybody else who is consistent is seeing. So hopefully the almost scared into stopping out of this amazing play here and the overconfidence of going too deep into another play serve as some good examples for you guys to follow / not follow. And just know, same position size, you should be able to take multiple losses in a row without blowing an account. That goes for any strategy. You can't test a strategy if you can't lose. So I like to say, 10% max on any play position strategy. So if you have a $10,000 account, you should never risk more than $1,000. If you have a $100,000 account, I would never risk more than $10,000. And that's a lot. That's an ambitious amount. Like, a lot of people would tell you 1%, 2%, 3%, max of 5%. 10%, you'd have to have 10 consecutive losses to blow that account up, so that's why I say that. But ideally, if you can go 1, 2, 3% of your account, if you have a $10,000 account, I'd be risking $300. I know everybody's situation is different, so set your own risk parameters, set your own strategy, make your own decisions. You're adults, but that would be me. I hope this helps kind of piece some of this stuff together and where my position sizing and strategy and mindset kind of comes from and what not to do as well. Hope this helped you out. Look at Walmart go. Should have held it a little longer. See, even I think it sometimes, but that's another horrible mind state. Never think about what you should have done, could have done, would have done, because you didn't do it. So what you did do is what you got. Learn from it. Move on to the next one. Keep it moving. Let's get this fucking money. I'm out. Gotta go get some more. Good luck.